Dana White has officially laid down the law when it comes to Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. After months of teasing, vague timelines, and shifting narratives from both camps, the UFC CEO is now setting a hard deadline on this long-discussed heavyweight clash. In a recent appearance on the Jim Rome Show, Dana admitted that pressure is building to bring clarity to the heavyweight division, and made it clear that time is nearly up. According to White, the UFC will know within the next couple of weeks whether the Jones versus Aspinall fight will actually happen. If it doesn't come together quickly, they're moving on. No delays. This marks a clear change from Dana's previous "relax, it's happening" messaging. Now the tone has turned urgent. Tom Aspinall has already revealed that he's been given a date and location for his next fight, regardless of whether it's against Jones or another contender for the undisputed title. So if Jon doesn't commit soon, the UFC looks ready to move forward without him. Still, Dana was adamant on one point: Jones has never ducked a fight. Despite the current uncertainty, White insists that Jon has never once turned down a specific opponent. But time is ticking, and with mounting pressure from fans, fighters, and analysts alike, the UFC can't afford to keep the division on hold much longer. The coming weeks could finally determine whether we'll witness the greatest of all time face-off with the division's fastest rising star, or if the UFC crowns a new undisputed champion without Jon Jones in the mix. Before we move further, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you stay locked in with everything happening in the MMA world. Let's get started. Moving up next, we have Islam Makhachev's retirement plan shocks Daniel Cormier. Islam Makhachev's close friend and longtime teammate, Daniel Cormier, was stunned by coach Javier Mendez's recent statement, claiming Islam only has 3 more fights left, including one against Jack Della Maddalena. To Cormier, that number seems absurd. He sees Islam as a champion in his prime, not someone nearing the end of his run. Makhachev is still sharp, dominant, and commanding one of the most competitive weight classes in the UFC. Now that he's explored welterweight and plans to return to lightweight, the options ahead are limitless. If Islam decides to keep fighting, a showdown with Ilia Topuria could be a blockbuster. 2 undefeated stars at their peak. A fight with Kamaru Usman or Shavkat Rakhmonov would also deliver fireworks. Each stylistically challenging and legacy-defining, these matchups wouldn't just raise Islam's profile. They'd lock him in among the all-time greats. Yet, it's also possible that Islam plans to follow the Khabib playbook, retiring while undefeated, dominant, and unblemished. That's the Dagestani formula. Still, for most fans and fighters, the idea of Makhachev calling it quits now feels far too early. There's just way too much still on the table.
Javier Mendez also said, though, that Islam Makhachev might have 3 fights, including Jack Della Maddalena. How in the world does it feel like another dominant champion may be saying it's about time? Why? He's young. He's the world champ. He's dominating. He's getting an opportunity to become a double champ. Why? It's scary to me because I know, knowing these guys, if he says, I've got 3, we should all go, man, we got to lock in. Because you know that it's a special time, right? It's a special reign that Islam has created at 155. Why? Why, when you're in your mid-30s, are you looking to kind of walk away from the game that you are dominating? There's some massive fights for Islam Makhachev. Let's hope that he sticks around long enough to fight them all. We have so many more fights that we want these guys to fight. We want to see him against Jack Della. We want to see him against Usman, and we want to see him against Ilia Topuria.
Moving up next, we have Josh Thompson reacts to Topuria versus Tsarukyan back and forth. Josh Thompson has chimed in on the growing rivalry between Ilia Topuria and Arman Tsarukyan, a feud that's quickly turning into one of the most exciting storylines at lightweight. What started as mutual respect, rooted in their shared Georgian heritage, has evolved into a full-on verbal clash ever since Ilia moved up to 155. Topuria recently made it clear that Arman isn't ready for the belt, claiming he still needs to grow before thinking about championship gold. Arman didn't take that lightly. He fired back with confidence, saying he'd rain down elbows and completely control Ilia on the ground. That back and forth has lit up the MMA world. Fans, analysts, and podcast hosts have all jumped in to analyze the matchup, with many calling it one of the most compelling potential fights in the division. And for good reason. Arman Tsarukyan is elite. His high-pressure style, chain wrestling, and clean striking make him a nightmare matchup. Meanwhile, Topuria brings unmatched confidence, crushing hands, and elite fight IQ. Watching these two collide would be more than entertaining. It could signal the next shift in the division's hierarchy. With Ilia Topuria set to headline UFC 317 against Charles Oliveira on June 28th, the question now is, who walks out as champion? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
Just for me, the fight that I think that I want to see the most would be the Tsarukyan versus Ilia Topuria. Both a little bit, not short, like Ilia's obviously shorter, but Tsarukyan with the wrestling, the heavy, he's got big power in the hands, can take a shot. Can he take Topuria down and grind him out? Can he fight hard for 5 rounds? Because we saw him against Charles. You know, he got a little winded and tired in that fight. Like, there's a lot that I think a lot of questions that want to be answered on the sample size of Arman Tsarukyan. We know he's talented. We know he's good. For me, I felt like he blew it, not getting his title shot, and that's the fight that I wanted to see was between the two of them. And I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, man, Charles, let these two guys fight, and you just pick up the winner. But you don't. I know. I get it.
You have lost your mind.
Moving up next, we have Ilia Topuria runs into Movsar Evloev, sends a threat. Ilia Topuria recently came face-to-face with longtime rival Movsar Evloev, and it was anything but cordial. During an interview with Satana Sports Georgia, Topuria described the moment he unexpectedly ran into the man he's been feuding with for years. Their rivalry is well documented. The two undefeated fighters were originally booked to fight years ago, but the bout was canceled when Evloev pulled out. Ever since, they've gone at it online, but they've never shared the cage. Now that Topuria has fully moved up to lightweight, many assumed the beef had died, but not Evloev. He's now claiming he's willing to follow Topuria to 155 if that's what it takes to settle things once and for all. Even if Ilia loses at lightweight, Movsar says the mission stays the same. Take him out. That shows just how personal this has become. Still, the logistics of making that fight aren't simple. Evloev would need to jump to a new division and leap over a dangerous pool of contenders. Unless there's serious fan demand, that kind of matchup may be hard to secure. Meanwhile, Topuria looked absolutely massive in his Satana appearance. Physically built for 155 and clearly focused on dominating his new weight class. And then came his warning. Trash talk has its limits. I never bring up someone's wife, kids, or family. There are lines you don't cross. Evloev crossed them. He and his team have repeatedly stepped over boundaries with the things they've said. In my Georgian culture, in our code of ethics, that kind of talk has no place. No proud Georgian would ever carry himself that way. First of all, it doesn't suit a man to run his mouth like that. If you're a man, carry yourself with some class. And if you have something to say to me, say it to my face. I actually ran into him once. He said nothing, stayed completely silent, didn't even look at me, like a scared coward he is. Then he went back online and started talking again. I don't know why he keeps doing that, but for everything he said, there will be consequences. He will pay for it. I'd gladly take his head off, but why do it in the street? I usually do it inside the octagon and get paid a lot for it. That's all for now from the MMA Arena. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and hit subscribe for your daily dose of real MMA news. No fluff, just facts.